Flash Season 2, Episode 5, The Darkness and the Light. Definitely a fun episode because we got this new version of Harrison Wells, and personally, I love this version of the character. I don't like him because he is definitely a dick, as Cisco easily pointed out. It was like, our Dr. Wells may have been evil, but you're just a dick. Definitely true. He is definitely kind of a douche in this episode, but he pushes the team, for sure. He pushes Barry. He obviously pushes many buttons on Jay Garrick because they have a full-on fight, which my girlfriend thought was hilarious because there is a shot during that fight when Barry's just standing and his arms are folded and he's kind of just looking up like it doesn't matter. She thought that was the funniest thing ever, and it was kind of funny that he was just standing there for a little bit. Everyone was just like, all right, let's let the Earth 2 people kind of fight this out for a bit. But I love this Harrison Wells. We get a little backstory on him from Earth 2. We find out this Wells has a daughter. My initial thought was that he changed because his daughter was just flat out killed. But we find out at the end of the episode that she's actually been kidnapped. And I'm wondering now exactly why she was kidnapped, because Wells mentioned even when they have the flashback when we see his daughter and everything, when Jay Garrick shows up, he's like, why don't you tell everyone how this is all your fault and how you created Zoom, which led to a very stupid conversation that shouldn't have ended the way that it did, where everyone was just like, he made a little joke about speedsters and everyone just laughed again. I'm like, did they not listen to what just happened? Like, he says, this whole explosion caused Zoom, and then he was like, no, it's your job as a superhero to beat Zoom. You just kind of suck. That's basically how that conversation went. And then Garrick knew it wasn't going anywhere, and he just took off. And then he's like, well, I guess, the speedster thing works. And everyone just laughed. I'm like, how was that, how that ended? And everyone just laughs, and it was nothing. So it did just that way. They have their argument again. This whole episode, honestly, I love Jay Garrick, but I swear I felt like they were just, beating him down. Like, he was beating himself down. Other characters were saying, he mentions, Barry, you're faster than I ever was and ever will be. And obviously, Wells just hates Jay Garrick. He's like, basically, this guy sucks. Barry, you're pretty cool, though. So it was just, constantly they were kind of pushing down Jay Garrick, and I was like, that really sucks. And I think the reason for that is because Barry is, the Flash that everyone typically knows. Jay Garrick was the first Flash, but Barry is the one that kind of brought the resurgence back to kind of comic book heroes, honestly. He was one of the first. I think he was the first Silver Age or something like that, however they categorize it. I believe he was the first of the Silver Age, and that kind of brought everything back for superheroes. So it's Barry Allen is always the number one Flash that's known, of course, and I feel like that's kind of how they use that to kind of put down Jay Garrick a little bit in this episode. But I thought that kind of sucked. I'm like, man, I know he's not as good as Barry was. And I think that we could easily attribute that to the fact that Barry he did have another Flash helping him. He had the Reverse Flash helping him to get even better. And he had a character that was forcing him to continuously get better. Basically every episode is I need to get the heck home. I need this idiot to get better than he has ever been. I need to, basically push up this timeline, I think it was 8 years or something we found out in the last season. So, it's kind of messed up. Barry got pushed to this level way sooner than he would have been, because he would have been even older than Jay Garrick was in that initial timeline. I think they said it didn't happen until 2020 or something like that, when Barry first became the Flash in that original timeline. And so now we have, of course, a much younger version of that Flash, or not much younger, but 5 years younger. He's already Flash, it's done. So it was kind of messed up how they were, to me at least, the couple of moments, it was man, even Jay Garrick is putting himself down in this episode, saying Barry is faster or better as a Flash than he ever possibly could be. And I was like, that kind of sucks. And I don't think that's true. It's kind of true based on the powers that we've seen, but we also haven't really seen Jay Garrick use his abilities yet, so I don't know. But that was something I definitely noticed. It was man, he's getting put down by Wells. He's putting himself down towards the end of the episode, and it was just man, that kind of sucks. They're just kicking Jay Garrick to the curb a little bit. But he definitely does have a moment. They were like shooting through this, but of course Jay Garrick and Caitlyn, they're about to kiss. Of course, that ends up getting stopped, which is typical of television in general. But they were about to kiss. They definitely had their moment, and it kind of ends, and that was pretty much it. They kind of don't talk too much about it anymore. It just happened, and then things got screwed up because people started to get attacked and almost killed. So makes sense. And one person did actually die in this episode. So I don't know. That I was okay with. I knew it was gonna happen. Like they were kind of playing with it very early on. I didn't expect it to happen so fast though. And I know some people have an issue with it. Personally, I don't even care. Like I think we all know that either it's gonna happen and then Ronnie's gonna come back, or it's not gonna happen. But I'm assuming it's gonna happen, and then it'll be like maybe next season. Because I always thought Ronnie would just come back in this season, and it's still super early. He easily could. I mean, we have more than half the season still to go. But I don't know. They might kind of play with that idea where she becomes, she gets in a relationship with Jay Garrick for almost a whole season, which would be like half a year, almost a full year within this season. And then it's like, oh, there's Ronnie again after, another year of him being dead. Here comes Ronnie again, but she's in a relationship this time, and it would kind of change things up quite a bit. So, not sure how they're going to mess around with that. Personally, I think it's okay. I mean, they were obviously, it was insanely obvious when they even first did it, because they had Iris did the little line when he was like running on the treadmill and mentioned like how good he looks, and Caitlyn's like, oh, I didn't even notice, which obviously was a lie. So we all knew that was happening. It did happen super fast though, and personally I don't hate it, but it's not like I really love it. I honestly don't even care that much. I kind of just want to see what's happening with Ronnie, because I'm still holding hope that he's totally alive in Earth 2 or something. I'm going to assume he's in Earth 2, unless they go really crazy and they add like other Earths and we get like an Earth 3, which would be really nuts, but that'll be awesome. But for now, they have their relationship or whatever they're going to do with it. I'm totally fine with it. I don't really care. One thing that was really interesting, though, about this episode was our main villain, who was not only a lesser villain. We got Dr. Light, who, once again, anything as far as Arrow and Flash, if it's something like a lesser character, it's like, oh, sweet, I remember them from Teen Titans. So, of course, Teen Titans has come back again for me, because we got Dr. Light in this episode. They changed the sex, because Dr. Light is normally a male, and it ends up being Linda Park, or Earth 2 Linda. And even in Earth 2, Linda isn't like the worst villain. She steals stuff, but she's never killed anyone. And so she was going to go kill off her doppelganger, her Earth 1 doppelganger, because she wanted to survive. Like, her and Atom Smasher is basically half and half at this point, because her and Atom Smasher both were going to kill their clones, or their doppelgangers, so that they could escape Zoom. But then we had Sand Demon, who didn't seem to really give a crap. He just wanted to kill Flash anyway. And then we had like the Shark character, who totally vanished. I didn't think he was like officially taken down after that one shot. And they also don't mention anything about what happened. They don't say like, oh, Giant Shark is in, the accelerator, or the thing, I can't even think of what they call it right now. But they didn't mention anything about that. It kind of skipped to them at Star Labs, and it's like, this is Earth 2 Harrison Wells, and he helped me. And they mentioned the shark at some point in this episode, but it was like, nothing was like, yeah, he saved me, and then we did this, or we did that. That shark was like Jay Garrick in the last episode. It was just like, pfft, it's gone. Like, it happened, and now it's just poof, it's gone. So I don't know what in the world happened there. But of the villains, I guess it's like half and half. Two of them were going to go kill their Earth 1 doppelgangers, and Dr. Light was a part of that, and she was going to kill her Earth 2, Earth 1 Linda. And she fails at that. Once again, I swear they are not going to have, like, an editor in this thing, like, at all. Like, it seems like they just keep losing people at the news station. So they lost, I guess he wasn't an editor, the guy that died in the last season, but he gets killed off. So they lost their actual editor, or like the chief or whatever the position is called in this episode. So I feel like that's gonna do something for the show, because even though it's not like the Daily Planet, it's still like the news of the city. And if there's one thing comic books do is actually somehow have newspapers. So that's gonna play a part in it. I don't think it's gonna be like, oh, Iris becomes like the editor in chief or anything like that. But I feel like that's gonna end up being important in some episode, at least one episode. I feel like they might introduce either another comic book character that we know, or it's just gonna be something like, now we have to fill this void, which they might have to do for Linda as well, depending on what happens in this next episode when she gets sucked into Earth 2 and she encounters Zoom and all that stuff. But they lost another person at the news station, I guess. I don't even know what to call it, honestly. It's like newspapers, I just don't even know the terms, which is so sad, but I really don't. So they lost someone there. We have Linda, who finds out that she has a doppelganger, because it was just, flat out, like, the mask comes straight off and it's like, boom, here you go. This is, Earth 2 doppelgangers. And I'm not sure how that's going to play out. Like I said, leading into the next episode, I feel like that's a terrible idea, but I'm so freaking excited because it leads to us getting to see Zoom. And we might get to see quite a bit of Earth 2, which I'm really looking forward to, even though the clip we got at the end of this episode was like his lair. So that always sucks, because the basement is going to be a basement no matter what Earth you're in. So hopefully we get some more of the outside world and get to see more of this futuristic 50s, because that's totally the style they have, and I love that, and that's what I really want to see more of. But I don't know how this is going to play out. It seems like they're going to flat out tell her that Barry is actually Flash in the next episode so that they can use her for the plan. They could just say, like, oh, we work with the Flash, because that's what they do with a lot of people. It's like, oh, we work with the Flash, which is still super dangerous, because anyone could still just be like, well, I might not know who the Flash is, but I can tell you, like, these guys, they work with the Flash, and I swear they have, like, 24 people at this point know Cisco and Caitlin, at least. I mean, it doesn't matter about the Harrison Wells stuff, but it's like, they know Cisco, they know Caitlin, now Iris and Joe are in there. Of course, Barry, without being the Flash, is still Barry Allen. So that's like 5 people where you could just be like, I can tell you for a fact, because I've seen the suit right over there, these 5 people work with the Flash. So, boom, they get exposed just like that, and it can honestly be that simple. And I'm surprised that hasn't come up yet, because everyone knows who they are. They might not know them by name, but they know they're in Star Labs. Everybody knows that once they go there. It's like, oh, you guys are in Star Labs. Check that out. That's where the Flash is. That could easily happen in any episode. It could have happened in the last season, but it's kind of just ignored. Like, they beat villains, and even when they escape, it's like no one cares to share secrets. Like, hey, this is where the Flash is. You can totally team up and go kill him if you guys want to, because I'm a villain and I want to get the heck out of here. But just a minor thing that kind of pops into my head sometimes when I watch this show. Like, they're so exposed, but they never seem to get busted. So that just works out the way it does. But I like getting to see Dr. Light. That was really cool. Her outfit was actually pretty sweet. It was kind of Matrix style, just like the long jacket. I always like a good black and white design, so that was pretty cool. The way she used her powers was pretty sweet. I didn't know what Dr. Light's powers were. I've never seen that, like in Teen Titans, where he could actually blast people. I thought it was honestly just using light to blind people and stuff like that. But it does make sense to concentrate the light. And then, it was very Iron Man style, to be totally honest. But, Iron Man didn't exactly invent lasers, so it's not like it's copying or anything. But very cool. Like the costume. The stuff with Cisco, very awesome that he got kind of revealed as being Vibe. They give him his name at the end of the episode, which was really awesome. So he has Vibe. He also had, I'm pretty sure it was this one, he had like my favorite shirt I've ever seen him wear, because he had, it was a Ghostbusters Pac-Man mashup t-shirt, and it was the capture thing. I can't think of the actual name of it, but it was like the ghost capturing thing that the Ghostbusters use. And it was one of the ghosts from Pac-Man being captured, and the other ghosts were looking into it. And I was like, I have to find that shirt. So I don't know where that is online, but I want that shirt. Like, the other ones I've enjoyed, but I was like, I need to get that shirt, because that just looked really cool to me. But he gets outed to the rest of the team as a superhero. Of course, they had Caitlin say, like, oh, we aren't just going to turn evil if we got superpowers. naturally they made Caitlyn say that because we know we're gonna get Killer Frost. They did do the thing though when Harrison Wells was doing like his little check, like this is my device and it picks up on who's metahuman and who's not. When he went next to her, I was very curious. I was like, is she gonna be latent, kind of like Cisco was, and then it's two big reveals, and then she really is gonna be Killer Frost, or is it just gonna be Earth 2 who's Killer Frost? So the way they did it, unless his device can't pick up on something like very low level tones of being a metahuman, Earth 2 Caitlyn is definitely going to be Killer Frost, which makes sense, and that's what I was hoping for from the very beginning, and I figured that's how it was going to be, is that, it was going to be Earth 2 Caitlyn was going to end up being Killer Frost. So that was good news. It was like he went past her and it was clear. I was like, thank goodness she's not gonna turn into Killer Frost and then we lose Caitlyn forever. It's gonna be Caitlyn and then Earth 2 Caitlyn is Killer Frost. So that was a nice little thing because I was kind of freaked out for a split second. But I enjoyed that. It was really cool. Cisco still has to kind of figure out his abilities because he was trying to make it work, of course, and he's doing like the weird faces and stuff, and it wasn't working. But that was fun. It was nice. He has his name. Barry goes on his first date. There was a ton of stuff in this episode, actually. Barry goes on his date with Spivot, which was really awesome, and I loved just that whole thing where he couldn't see, and Cisco is just watching, and he's laughing, and I don't remember what Patty said, but she said something, and he was just like, ha ha, that's embarrassing. And just the whole thing with him was just so funny to me. And then, like, Barry completely forgot he was there, and she does like, an inspirational little speech. And he's, like, preaching. Barry, like, jumps, like, oh, crap. He's like, yeah, I'm still here, like, peeping and creeping or something he said, which I thought was also really funny. But it was really nice. And she was also super awesome when she was like, yeah, I also know that you can't actually see me. I was like, that's really cool. That just makes her a badass detective. And I was like, that it just made me like her even more because it really showed like her detective work when he comes in looking like a Blues Brother with those glasses on. And I just enjoyed it. I was like, that was actually cool that she figured that out. But this is definitely a great episode. It was really fun. I feel like there's something else in this one that I'm probably missing. There was really a lot of stuff happening. The Harrison Wells stuff, I feel like I didn't touch on that enough. I really do love this version of Harrison Wells. He's not evil, but he is a douche. But at the same time, it's because now, like, and I love what Jay Garrick said at the end when he's like, I know that your Harrison Wells had a lot of secrets, but this one, I believe he says, like, this one has just as many, if not more. And his big thing is, like, all this time, my Harrison Wells has just been a complete a-hole, and he has not ever admitted that anything was his fault. And I love that we got that in the flashback, because even in the promo for this episode, when they're like, why did you come to Earth 1? It was like, because this is my fault, I created Zoom. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. He, caused the metahuman stuff. And then in the beginning of this episode, when we get the flashback, he's in complete denial. Like, I didn't cause any of this. You totally should have stopped him. And then we got the scene where, now that his daughter's been kidnapped, he admits, like, I did this and this is my fault. So now, after, of course, someone he cares about was taken from him, now he wants to admit that this is, what the problem is. So we know what his secret is, but it still makes him interesting. It's like he's still kind of a douchey character, but he's not an evil person. He's just kind of a douche, and he just pushes people. Like, even when Cisco was trying to use his power, he was, like, flipping out, and it's like, I get why he's so mad now, because at the scene when they showed his daughter was kidnapped, and she's not just dead, so he's not, like, depressed. He's, like, angry because he knows that he can still get to her. It kind of made sense. I'm like, okay, so he's flipping out and being super douchey because now he's screwed up to the point where he can accept it. Like, I did screw up really, really bad, and now my daughter's paying for it. So I like that about him. I like this new version of Wells. It's definitely fun to watch. I don't know how many more times we're going to get him versus Jay Garrick, who, if I'm remembering right, Jay Garrick does decide to leave at the end of this episode, which does kind of suck. I could be totally wrong about that. I'm pretty sure he left, though. I'm pretty sure he was like, screw this. This guy, I'm done with this, because I know he didn't want to watch Barry get killed. So, who knows how that's going to play out, what that's going to mean when he gets back home, and he's back in his own dimension, if he'll get his powers back, or any of that stuff. But I've kind of rambled on enough about this episode. It was really good. It was like now that I'm doing this review, I'm realizing how kind of jam packed this episode really was. We got not only did we get a doppelganger, but we got one that actually mattered, and now that's gonna lead into like the main story of the next episode, which I hope Linda lives from that because I'm really worried about it now. We got the reveal of Harrison's daughter. We have we got a full episode of this new Harrison Wells and his personality. The team knows about Cisco, his vibe. He actually got his name. We got a date for Barry and Spivot. Um, I'm pretty sure that's everything, but it was a really jam packed episode. It's definitely looking forward to this next one, getting to see Zoom and how that's gonna play out. There are a lot of speculations as to who it is. It could easily be a Barry, that's evil, and that would be pretty interesting. It would also kind of hint towards the scene that we got of Barry in prison in the finale of the last season. If they end up capturing Zoom and it ends up being Barry, but I don't know why that would kind of correlate to them, kind of putting him in prison because he'd most likely be detained somewhere else. But either way, I'm looking forward to this next one. Of course, I obviously love this one, but I do want to know what you guys thought, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And I really want to know what you guys think about this new Harrison Wells. There was always, beforehand it was like, is he going to be good? Is he going to be bad? Now he's just a dick. So what do you guys think about him? He's definitely a douche, but I like seeing him interact with the other characters. He pushes people in not the best way, but he does still push people to do stuff a lot like the old Harrison Wells, or more accurately, Eobard Thawne. But I do like seeing his interactions with the other characters, despite not actually liking him because he's really so mean to everybody. But I do want to know what you guys think, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.